Oh, I have I have slipped the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter silvered wings. Sunwards I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds, and done 1,000 things you have not dreamed of, wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the wind-swept heights with easy grace, where never lark nor even eagle flew. And while with lifting, silent mind I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God.
Very much like I must go under the sea again to lonely up in the sky. I can't remember the poem now, but or Jonathan Livingston Seagull too.
Yeah. What I love about this poem is the flow of it and the sound of it, as if the poet is actually flying, so that I feel the flying with the words. And maybe it was also the way you read it, and I would have read it. You would have edited it while you read it. The same way. I mean, I really love the flow of this. It's really beautiful.
Well, and the exhilaration of it, that, he just loves it up there.
The awe of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me think that they're way up in space, but it isn't. I mean, not from what we're looking at.
There's supposed to be air after all.
But what was he,
I'm
only
pressurized.
18 or 19 when
Yes.
he wrote this? I find that stunning.
Yeah. And he did get that last line while he was a pilot for, I think it was Canadian, but he has connections with the United States. His father was from the United States and his mom was from Britain.
He was born in Shanghai,
Right.
and I don't know. I know he and his mother lived in Britain, but I don't know what. It didn't say anything about his father or his brothers, because there were 4 boys altogether.
Was his father the one that was the great Chinese activist in Nanking and dealing with the oppression and so on? Was that his father?
He was a missionary over there, and
Yeah.
so he may well have been. And he was, the poet was schooled in the United Kingdom. He had won a scholarship to Yale, but he turned it down and joined the Air Force instead. And he just seemed to feel that he needed to do that.
Yeah, and sure, the war after all.
Yeah.
So out of all the poems in the world, why did you choose this one?
Just because, as I say, I like the exuberance of it. You can sort of feel that you're up there in the air with him. And,
Well, I had 2 thoughts about this. I like the poem too. Well, one, it's interesting that it's the poem that is the anthem of the Canadian Air Force. And it is required that every graduate of our own United States Air Force Academy have to stand up and recite it by heart. And of course, they love to do parodies of as undergraduates often do, so they do all kind of hilarious takeoffs on this, which I won't do it. I won't do it.
Right.
The other point that I would make is that if I had written this up, I would be glad to have written it. But if I had and turned it into my English teacher, she would have flunked me for plagiarism.
yeah, because there are lots of lines.
Many of the most golden phrases in this poem he stole right out from other poets, including the most powerful one, the last line, put out my hand and touch the face of God. Laughter, silvered wings, sunlit silence, none of these are his phrases. But he had the good sense, I don't hold that against him, frankly, because he was aware of that and he acknowledged his debt to other people. But a lot of this is not his. But it's tragic that he died at age 19, but a lot of good poets write their best stuff when they're very, very young.
You think of all these great people in this room.
It's true in my case.
Well, I'm still very, very young, so. I think of Edna St. Vincent Millay, who was also 19 when she wrote her most famous poem called Renaissance, in which she also had an epiphany in Renaissance. If you've ever read her long poem, it's a quite moving poem. But it's obviously a poem by a young person, as this is a poem by a young person, you can tell. They're not jaded yet. And Edna St. Vincent Millay has a wonderful line in her poem that's very similar to this, where she has an epiphany when she sees God. She said, "Oh, God, I can push the grass apart and place my finger on your heart." Very similar, isn't it? Not identical, but similar to this notion of a moment that was so majestic that you had an epiphany, you had an insight, you had a little mental orgasm because it was so pretty. So I like the poem. It's really lovely.
I want you to know that every word you used has already been used by someone. The entire speech was plagiarized.
Wouldn't surprise me. But I guess we've all been there and done that, huh?
Who wrote the last two lines? Where did you crib it from?
A rather obscure poet that I'd never heard about, but it's easy to find out if you want to. You just Google it,
Yeah.
and any critical analysis of this poem.
Bartlett would probably have it too also.
Really?
Bartlett would probably have it also.
Yeah,
Bartlett, from the
Bartlett's,
quotations.
yeah, Bartlett's quotations
Yeah.
would be in there.
Yeah, should. I would have put a footnote, but that would have
I
been
know you would. I mean, you trample all over everything you do.
Oh, well.
I suppose I have heard this before, but I didn't remember it. But as soon as I started reading it, it just cried out for parody. You know, this high-sounding hearts and flowers crap, you know. Sorry. Sorry to look at it in that manner. But so much. Pour on the syrup, the saccharin, you know.
It's a lot like
Trickle.
George Kilmer, one of the very popular poems that are popular for a good reason. They touch people.
I'm going to offer my parody, my instant parody, when it's my turn to read today.
Oh, yeah. You might as well start
All
now.
right.
Yeah, start now.
Should we go start?
Let's go straight to it. If
You remind me of this cartoon I saw of some people bowed down in front of an empty fence, and a person standing over to the side looking at them and said, "Is nothing sacred?"
Yeah, we'll do the flight of parody side first. Once it's made its way around.
Extras.
Everybody got it? So we're doing the side with flight of parody. Oh, I have slipped the exacting bonds of reason and danced my dreams on myth-drawn wings. Heaven-bound I've enjoyed and celebrated the season of laggard logic, and I've thought 1,000 things you may have never viewed or wished or prayed. Steep in imagination, longing, lingering there, I've doubted the shouting argument and never delayed my eager mind going anywhere it dare. Up the winding paths of destinations not spelled, I've topped those weathered heights bereft of easy answers, where questions or experiment had never dwelled. And while with hopes heard a legend wound by a poet in the high unexamined space of make-believe romancers, I've put out my hand to catch any myth, whoever may throw it.
Wow.
My myth.
Well done.
That is awesome.
Is it even Weathered Heights? Is it after the, could be the title from the book?
I don't know, it follows the original rather closely.
very close.
I
Well
just
done.
put it, I started writing the words next to it, and then,
That's excellent. You did a great job of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sven, I like that line. I've doubted the shouting argument and never delayed my eager mind going anywhere to dare. Yeah.
it's hearts and flowers too. For the people.
Oh,
Parody. I
Make
like that.
believe.
you soared in this
romancers.
poem.
Did you say sorted?
Soared.
Oh.
All right, we're gonna do yours.
And the other side then, we're done with that. Playing the poem, this is a footnoted poem. And the footnote reminds us that writing free verse is like playing tennis without a net. Famous Robert Frost saying. Playing the poem. Have you played tennis without a net? You could hit the ball up against a wall. You could draw a line marking height on a wall, and too far left and too far right. How can you call that tennis? No one to vanquish, though you can count points, miss returns, perfect shots, and where aimed. But the wall makes no errors, only you do. But you can use your forehand, your backhand, slam, and drop. When writing a poem, there is no opponent but yourself and your strokes, your words. You set your own boundaries, you place how high the net. Are you clever, innovative? Can you make some rhymes, set a fixed beat, play with the white space if you wish? Rhyme and meter don't make an argument, don't dig deep, don't flash insight. They help remember the story repeated around the campfire, or to make music for others to swing to, or to stick with a style, to mellow with tradition. With an opponent, there is a beginning, middle, and end. Against the wall, is there a middle? And how does it end? Do you win or lose? With a poem, you may win or lose, but it is your judgment, just you and the wall, not the score of a listener, that gives the win. Do we like a tennis match just as we like a poem? How do they become lasting? Masterful play, masterful thought, masterful rhyme? Has the match meaning? Has the poem?
Wow.
Nice touch of all aspects of the argument. I mean, you're really all over the place in sense, in terms of appreciating the nuances of that statement.
Did you play tennis?
I'm a little bit taken by the idea of a poem winning or losing with a poem. I don't know, I don't know whether I ever thought of it being winning or losing.
It's within yourself, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know that. I know what you're saying, but I don't even think of it within myself. Maybe what feels good or what feels
Completed.
something beyond winning and losing. Winning and losing, I feel, is competition. And I never felt, that's one of the things I felt about, quote, a poetry competition or any kind of artistic competition, like a artists competition or something. I feel like art or poetry or writing is non-competitive.
Well, when I sit down to do a poem, it's like setting a game up. I'm going to be doing this. and I'm going to be doing it well or not. And seldom do I get to the end of my time spent and feel like I've really done it. I mean, the winning is rare. I mean, usually you just satisfied, walk away, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I'll come back and do something more here. But to that sense, I see it as a win or a lose. And a win then is a great feeling of, okay, I've got this poem working the way I wanted it to. It's got this in it and that and so forth.
How can you do a slam or a drop though? Against about near a wall.
In a poem?
If you set it too sharply on the ball. If you set it too sharply, it's going to bounce against the back ball and then dribble all over the court. If you do a drop, it's going to bounce down and bounce up, so you can't play it. That's out of
You
play.
could cut a drop in and have it go against the wall and either go above the line or not, you know? But it's going to drop soon if the wall were invisible. And if you get a high bounce, you can slam it.
Maybe it's just me, but it is me because I'm talking about it. But when I write, I just like to let the words flow, and I don't really think about it. But when I write for this group, I've suddenly become not necessarily competitive, but I become a little bit more. I'm showing it to somebody, and it almost doesn't become my poem anymore. You know,
Yeah,
There's
you're writing
something-
for an audience.
I'm
yeah.
writing for an audience, and I have a give and a take about that. I like the idea. Until I came to this group, I never showed any of my writings to anybody. It was writing therapy. It was writing as an art form, but now I feel like I'm writing for somebody, and I think things change, and I'm a little bit at tension with that.
But the clarity, I think, I get so much better if I'm reading to somebody. You know, I can write something and I like the sound of it, but it's not making any sense for anybody else. And then I think, how am I going to do that? And it's just another piece of the puzzle.
But you don't call that competition? Isn't that competition in some sense, Tom?
You know,
I've been in a lot of competitions, and I feel differently. I feel differently about it.
Uh-huh.
I feel the same way.
yeah, I do too. And I think sometimes you've probably done this, everybody has probably done this, where you've written a poem or you've read a poem, and then a year later, or time has passed, and then you go back and it has greater depth of meaning, or maybe you add something or take something away. So that part, I look at non-competitive, but how do I feel about what I've read and written today versus a year from now? And it's more of a sense of where I am in my thinking.
Yeah, I
Well,
feel
Is
that.
that,
Yeah, it's
I'm
like
not sure I'm explaining what I'm
It's
trying
like
to
an
say.
evolution of who you are.
Yeah.
Like it's like your thought process. Like last night, I actually haven't written a new poem since we were forced to with those 5 words,
Poor
the
baby.
croissant and the house and stuff. But I was just like, because I feel like I need when I write. It's that tension of whether I'm writing for me or writing for someone, or what's the purpose. And sometimes a lot of the purpose is because I want to write for myself, and I don't really show it to anyone until these 2 groups that I joined.
It makes a difference.
And so yeah, and I was just reading through some old poems I wrote years ago, and it feels different to me when I read them. I'm like, oh my God, this is I don't even
Well, you
like
look at
it. Gotta
Frost's
fix it.
statement. Go back to Frost's original statement. And he's obviously saying that I write with rhyme and meter. I don't write free verse. And so I am showing my mastery.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's part of it
I mean,
here.
our whole regietta for this piece is counterintuitive to old Don McLean's American Pie, which you didn't just took out off the top of his head with no subliminal meaning at all.
Yeah.
But maybe Frost was saying that playing tennis without him that, you know, there's parameters and anything can happen, and it isn't necessary, that it's a problem to do that because it's so amorphous, and, you know,
Well, it's, in other words, the statement is a little more complex than it appears on the surface. And he's saying something, is he just saying, well, but I am Robert Frost and I'm a little bit better than the rest of you guys?
how old was he when he wrote this?
I don't know.
Well, he may have been a neophyte poet and wasn't saying, I am Robert Frost and better than anybody.
He was rather a son of a bitch to a lot of people, though.
Who isn't?
Who isn't?
Well, I don't.
And what's the degree of success are they to other people?
Thank you for bringing that up. So seriously, I think this is a really, for me, it's a very important issue. I agree with Robin that I believe that writing for someone else has helped me become a better writer. So I like the tension, but I don't like the tension, you know? And I think that's where growth takes place. Real growth takes place in the tension. And so I think it's necessary that we have it.
But you're demonstrating mastery in demonstrating to someone else. You're not demonstrating that you're better than the group.
I understand.
It demands your mastery.
Yeah, I really appreciate you writing it. Thank you.
Well, okay, my turn. Since High Flight that Patricia gave us is a kind of a confessional narrative poem, I've begun to think of other narrative poems, and I remembered writing one that I did in 2012, which comes, often the person in a poem is not the same as the poet, but in this case it is. This is a confessional narrative poem of what it was like for me throwing newspapers in 1950. So here we go. Throwing papers. Do you see this old man smiling as he naps? Yes, that's me, but I'm not actually asleep at all. I am busy throwing newspapers on my old route. This was my first job. I got it when I was barely 12. Though quite elderly now, I often like to close my eyes, revisiting my past subscribers, retracing my former path. My once fancy bike has turned into a no-frills workhorse, a one-speed with balloon tires, fenders, and a coaster brake. The wire basket on my handlebars holds 100 papers. I stand hard on the pedals and churn them against inertia. Splat. My near-perfect toss lands a paper just beside a door. I hand Mrs. Rapp her paper. She anticipates me on her porch. I pause often to fold more papers to wedge into my basket as the smell of not yet dry ink rises from fresh newsprint and smudges of dark stain transfer to my hands and shirt. My paper route initiates me to secrets that will long linger, the lingo of starts, stops, complaints, and collections, spotting and stuffing heavy inserts into midweek papers. At times, things conspire to go amiss. Rain, bad tosses, falls. It is tedious collecting coins each Saturday to pay my bill. Papers can unfold and flush apart like confetti in the wind, cascading splashes of litter throughout a neighborhood. Thursdays are hard, with papers heavy with weekend ads. Those monstrous Sunday editions are cruelties to carriers. Yet the memories of all such trials vanish on very rare days when my delivery goes just right and routine becomes artistry. When a well-thrown route spins into a symphony of sublimity, a smoothly accelerating crescendo of polished movements, a solo performance of adroit grace and transcendent triumph. That's why this old man is smiling. He is reliving boyhood joy.
Once again, I'm trying different things, which this group is really nice because it's forcing me to do that. So, poem is called I Am Syrian, I Am American. They said we should be ready to die for our country. I asked myself, which country? I am a proud Syrian American. They say our duty is to defend the homeland. I wondered, where is my homeland? I am a U.S. citizen, a patriotic Syrian American. They said we must always be ready to support our families. I thought, what kind of a family? I am a devoted member of a large, extended Syrian American family. They said it is important to protect our religious liberties. I asked them, whose religion? I am a devout Muslim Syrian American. They said we must fight terror coming out of the Middle East. I asked, who is doing the terrorizing? I am a protective Syrian American. They said that foreigners are taking over our country. I demanded to know, what is a foreigner? I am an immigrant, a second-generation Syrian American. They said we do not want any brown-skinned Muslim foreigners in our land. I simply asked, why? I am human. I am Syrian. I am American. They said that there is to be no more questioning of authority. I asked nothing. I am now an emigre, an American Syrian.
Powerful.
Wow.
Wow, that's powerful.
This election season is tearing us all up.
Wow. Shoot me, I begged. The pain too great, all of it in the back. Why? No one had a clue. The cancer already cut out, the white count gone askew, a remedy to fix it overdue. Talking crazy produced a morphine drip so sweet, that warm love of a comforter rolling through me inch by inch, hushing the pain, lullabying me to sleep, content to surrender with no further lament. Morning came early there. The nurse entered the dark room quietly. We spoke in whispers. They gave me marijuana last night, I confided, eager to share I was still alive, even if all words I could not recognize. They certainly did not. Right. I paused, searching. Well, it began with M. Demerol, Motrin, bigger, pathetic, but the best I could do. All I could think was Monet, Manet too. Impressionist painting so like my brain, shapes vague, lovely, borderline sane. Morphine, yes, that was it. Phew. I was on my way again. My skilled Sikh doctor, at first perplexed, came running down the hall, inspired. An allergic reaction had made the pain the clue. My body spoke the only way it knew. Within my journey, my life and others intersect. We pull each other forward as we unaccidentally connect. Even as I met the parts of me I never knew, that discovery felt true, like it or not, what I am here to do.
And it even gives that feeling of when you're a little bit high and you're just sort of coasting through the time.
You really capture that.
I know, bigger.
More, give me more. I'm still not satisfied.
I do hope I get morphine at the very end of my life.
Day, plastic orange bottles await to be twisted and opened, their insides screaming to be jiggled and devoured. One round, another oval. This one, pink. That one, a clean, pure white. Dizzy with two of these. Hungry after one of that. Irritable and drained. Poisoned every day.
Have you switched to water?
I wrote this when I was going through my flare and just taking all of these pills, and it was just my existence at that point. So I had to write it.
Right. And the joy of pills on an empty stomach too, so I always comes into the fore too.
Doesn't matter, empty, full. Still feels horrible.
Let me just ask though, did you really truly believe that you were being poisoned with the pills?
At one point, I felt like my mind's not the same. I still feel that way.
Uh-huh.
I don't think the same
For the
way.
good or for the better? Worse.
For the gooder?
I'm sorry!
Good. I think she said or really fast. I don't know. Time will tell. I feel like sometimes I can't remember things that I used to remember before. Or I don't think as fast.
It could be age.
That too.
No.
Not,
No.
I don't seriously. I think
Apply
so.
that.
Not enough sleep. I mean, there's so many factors, right? But it's just the number of pills that I take now. It's just,
And the fact that the nurse come into your room quietly, they never come in quietly.
oh yeah, it's never
They come in
like that.
clinking and shake you awake and.
But I wrote this when I was at Firestone, actually. I was waiting for an oil change. I'm like, I had to take my pills with me wherever. For a lot of America.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you.
You know, there's a Japanese fellow who did some scientific study on water, and
I've got his book.
yeah,
Starts with him.
yeah.
Should I look this up again? This is gonna be hard
And
to
he took
find.
classes of water, and
Muddy?
he put different labels on them, you know. Beautiful on one, maybe.
Oh.
Disgusting on another. And then tested the water.
Extras.
And it tested differently. So the point was, if you were ever in a spot where you weren't too sure about the water, but you needed to drink, if you blessed it, it would actually
Cleanse it.
cleanse it. In fact, the whole idea of grace before meals, blessing your food, is with that intention of creating the right molecules that will nourish your body. So this is an important kind of concept.
But here's a question. I bet you a lot of those people in Flint blessed their meals before they ate and then drank water with their
And they were
meals.
still screwed.
And
No, that's true. Yeah, I know. But they did a scientific study of meditators around a lake that was filled with algae, and it was killing it. And they meditated, I can't remember how long they did it, maybe they did it on more than one occasion, and the lake cleared up. Now, I believe
Did the
people,
waters part?
people should have access to good drinking water, for sure.
Well, that's the whole meaning behind transubstantiation too, in the body and the blood of Christ for Mass. And it used to be that you had to really believe that it
Just too
did
much
change.
empiricist. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
dig it. I do dig it.
Yeah, I know.
Now you just think that God's Spirit is in it rather than actual meat and food.
Well, I'm personally involved with this issue right now myself because my daughter-in-law is taking her chemo and having a terrible time with it, but one of her beliefs is it's killing her. And I'm so sad about it. I begged her to use guided imagery. I did that when I did my chemo, and I'm alive today, 15 years afterwards, you know. And a lot of women who were diagnosed after I was are dead now. You know, I don't want to blame anybody for however they've lived their life or whatever, but I think how we think about things is real important.
But mind-body connection is strong. It's stronger in some than in others. So, remember when Norman Cousins came out with laughter is the best medicine? And for him it was, but for many people, it's didn't work. But your view can help you a tremendous amount, but some not for everybody.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. The end goal is not a longer life for everyone. You know, that's not necessarily in it. They're not in it for that. They're in it for the experience of whatever it is.
Let's go on with Robin's
Thank you,
poem.
Shelley,
Okay.
for bringing that. Thank you.
I actually have two poems, but I don't know, what's the time? I don't know.
Go for it.
Looks like
We're
about
good.
11 after.
Fine.
At 11, but
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I borrowed Shay's book from Mary Oliver, and so I was kind of wanting to write a poem about nature, and so, I don't know, what's the time? I don't know.
Go for it.
Looks like
We're
about
good.
11 after.
Fine.
Fine at 11,
Okay.
but I'm not.
The words of the wind. I stand on the beach where the winter wind and early spring spread the debris from leftover trees, bits and pieces, slender green grasses tangled and wrapped all around the broken branches. A shining sliver of a once living fish that flexed its body below the cool water now offers me a gift. I can gather sparkling nature jewels in the company of fragments, slickery and slimy gruel. I fashion a creature of a mishmash of stuff, skinny sticks but sinewy legs, arms of mixed up frippery. Soft rushes made the fabric of her swirling skirts. And yes, the feathers, they set my mind free to adopt everything the wind has given me. I borrow the geese to spin abundant wings, then I dance around my creature in my own dress-up dream. The dusk brings the stillness, a time for only listening to water, trees, birds. We all speak in the language of the wind's words.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. Do you cast a
That is
spell?
Mary
Yeah.
Oliver. Really, you
Yeah.
channeled Mary
I
Oliver.
don't know,
It's
I
really
just
nice.
was trying to, I read all of the whole book and just, I loved it.
It's
So I
great.
wrote, um,
You clearly made a connection between yourself and the world around you, so it's really, and Mary does that, so it's very nicely done.
To be honest, I was thinking about an event or a time when I was at Stroud's Run with my daughter and a friend of hers, and we were doing this. We were making this creature and dancing around it. But what we ended up with was we were making a goose language with wings, and we would speak to these creatures and to each other using this language.
There's
You
a,
said,
There's some.
you had two, right?
Yeah, I do. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
There's
Everybody's
a-
thought.
there's a Naomi Sheoff Knight about the yellow glove. Have you read that one? Where she loses it and it shows up in the spring, washed into the gutter and hanging on a branch, and it's the imagery.
like that.
Well, the imagery of the grass in the, I don't know, something about the imagery.
Take the doggy.
Okay, this other thing is a little bit crazy.
But we're not all the way around yet.
Oh, it hasn't? Okay,
We're
but
figuring this out. I think you have two. I did that backwards, sorry.
in June, I'm going to my 50th reunion, high school.
And
And-
June, you're going where, please?
My 50th reunion
Here's an
of high
extra
school in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. And
Extra
I've only ever gone to one before. And I have started to have dreams about my childhood. And this particular one was just, I woke up and I just clearly recalled all of these things that I probably should not have been doing. And so that's what this is.
Nightmares,
You're
yeah.
good.
1966, right?
Uh-huh. Is your two? Yeah.
You didn't have a paper
Where
route,
did you
did
see
you?
19? Where did you see 19?
Not yet.
Remember it.
Childhood confessions. I pushed my cousin 2 years younger when she was wearing a yellow organdy dress. My mother raved about how pretty she was. She got a bloody knee. I said it was an accident, but I think my mother got the picture. I sneaked the chocolate chips in a glass jar while pet sitting in an apartment up a lot of stairs. The women went to my church. They had to notice the shrinking level of the candy. Maybe that's the reason I don't like chocolate anymore.
Oh, wow.
I climbed the fence at Glen Pool, 6 of us skinny dipping, hitched a ride in a pickup truck back to town. I had to run around the block to dry my hair before I went home. I'd like to do all of it without the fence part 10 times more. I snitched raspberries off the bush in the alley. The girl my age, who lived at the place, said my friend and I would become petty shoplifters and later on turn out to be lifetime criminals. We ate the raspberries anyway. I drowned webworms in the creek by the walnut trees. A contingent of kids pledged to save the branches. We submerged the caterpillars in their bags under the frigid water. I quit after the first time the squirming stopped. I couldn't be the stalwart one. I heckled a kid named Gary, or maybe I was just there when someone yelled at him, "Why don't you run for school president?" He never turned around, but I had a sense of melting. I should have done something that disquieting day. Even now, I wish I could say I'm sorry. So that I think it's only in my dream that I actually said that, but I can recall, I don't even know who the kids were. It was in 7th grade, and I can remember exactly where this other kid was walking up the hill, and one of the kids, someone yelled at this kid, and it was just one of those unkind things. And it upset me so much, I've thought of it throughout my life. But when I dream about it, I think that I did this. I'm just always so distressed about it.
Well, dreams, especially repetitive dreams, tend to alter the story, like any kind of repeated story. Do you think these are dreams? Are they real events? Or are they...
These are all real events. Yeah,
as far as you can remember consciously?
Yeah, I can remember those really well. This last one, it's just a lot of kids would attack my brother just because he had a hearing aid, and I was so, it was just not something I would be able to do. But I was so concerned about this this last one, but I wanted to put it in because. You know what that feeling is when you go back in your mind and you think in a different age and time and you wonder, did I do this or should I have done that, or is there something I ought to have done differently? And that one is there. But the rest of these are, I remember all those pretty well. I did steal that candy and so.
I read the raspberries.
She left it there for you.
It was in their cabinet.
So
I'm sorry, you don't like chocolate anymore. That's a serious loss.
I wish I could do that.
you know what I did with chocolate chips? My mother would put them in, we had one of those refrigerators, a little tiny ice box in the middle, and she had the bag of chocolate chips in the back, and I opened them, and she's coming in the front door, I'm running out the back door. And she's yelling at me, "Honey, did you get into the chocolate chips?" I said, "No." And then I came around to the front, ran upstairs, and put them under my pillow, and forgot about them.
Oh, no.
Later on that night, I'm laying in bed, and I'm thinking, somebody must be baking cake. I turn the pillow up, and there's this melting chocolate chips under the pillow.
I'm an angel next to you. I call you when I'm worried about my dreams.
I had to fess that up really quick.
And did your mom ever find out?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, was there?
The shot heard round the world has been heard again. A demagogue, self-proclaimed, has been wounded with his not lethal only politically. Overbreeding hubris is an ontogenetically dominant gene amongst the politically inclined. political aspirations linked permanently with arrogant conceit. Maybe ontology does recapitulate phylogeny in the political breast. Self-exaltation may confer reproductive success when it is only moderately expressed, but is buffoonly lethal when the dominant form is revealed.
I love the word buffoonly. Lethal. That's
The spell check did not like buffoonly at all.
I like it.
Well, probably not.
It's a Looney Tune character.
Wonderful.
Are you asking a
Remind us
question
what
with that at the
ontol-
end?
what does-
But is buffoonly lethal when a two dominant form is revealed? Is that a
It
question?
sort of is.
Yeah. But, yeah, do you mean it to, do you want it
It
to be
should
more?
it should be a statement rather than a question. I mean, I'm hoping that you never see him hire Harrigan after November 2nd. I hope this actually makes him go into poop.
What does ontogenetically mean?
Okay, ontogenetically is the development, the embryonic development of a human being, of anything in the egg or womb.
At the level of the fetus.
Yeah,
Okay.
at the level of the individual.
Got
So,
it.
and of course, when they're kind of coming out with the early genetic, or after Leeuwenhoek's microscope and all of the stuff they were doing with embryos and stuff, they were seeing that the embryo sort of does roughly go through the ages of all the animals. And it doesn't do it exactly, but ontology recapitulates phylogeny is a phrase in zoology and morphology that supposedly sort of does. Not with all the permutations and but of course ontology is
Not the news of November 18th, 2015. Did you catch it? That rare, late, warm autumn day when the sun streamed long from the deep southeast over the fence, nourishing a clematis vine wanting to bloom again. Did you catch it? Did you get it? The Vermont Country Store catalog, purveyors of the practical and hard to find, containing within, mentioning just a few, a pink dial princess foam, fuller brushes, evening in Paris, natural and organic old goat's pain relief, holiday brandy-soaked fruitcakes, English Rockingham teapots since 1745, colorful cotton muumuus, long underwear, and a can of Charles chips. Did you get it? Did you hear that rain prediction at exactly 5 p.m.? Not 4:59 or 5:01, but 5 p.m. Rain. Did you stand in it and feel it on your skin? Did you do that? Did you get a knowing that this warm day, November 18th, was a day with change as the winds passed by, bringing temps from 58 to 28 in 48 hours? Did you feel that? Did you know, if not, I will tell you, that wanting to bloom again clematis vine is now frosty white and will lay in waiting through lingering cold days for the sun to again stream long across the fence some future day in spring. Did you know that? And that's not the news of November 15th. This is the postscript, April 15, 2016. The Dow is down. The presidential race is almost at hand. A woman hanging kids' t-shirts on a makeshift clothesline on this warm day might not even be aware of any of this. Daffodils could be stronger than the ups and downs of the stock market. After all, they've made it through 3 heavy frosts and a good windstorm and still stand tall. Amazing how these truck drivers hauling food goods to Kroger can manipulate an 18-wheeler in between 2 others and not even nick a tire. No wonder kids play with Tonka trucks. The dock workers await, doors open, and the goodies roll out. I'm hoping the gal hanging t-shirts has money to buy what came in the back door. My ash tree caught the bug, and in the middle of spring looks like it belongs back in November. The clematis patiently waiting, knowing its nature, and soon it will bloom as the same old sun warms the fence. news stories are where you look for them on April 15th, 2016.
Great.
Did you get one with the back on it?
You can go through life like this.
Sorry.
This is the back. I didn't-
That's not, you know.
Which
that's
one?
right, you don't
Someone
have-
has,
You only
why don't you take the
have-
double sheeted one, and I'll take the single sheeted one.
Not the news? Okay.
No, this is,
Oh, here you go.
Yeah, there
Here's
you
the
go.
double sheet. We'll get it to you.
You're good, you're good.
Binomial confrontation.
I like the idea of what's not the news. I really like that, because there's so much going on that just right in front of us, and it is what is real. And all of this other stuff is somebody else trying to tell us things that is not in my reality, you know?
I'd like to see them put the good things that are happening, things where people are reaching out. And the poem that I wrote, I took a piece from what McGee's poem and also a little bit from I'll Fly Away. From here to there. A songwriter's lyrics once stated, "On the wings of a snow-white dove, God sends God's own pure, sweet love." This message is never outdated. To be sure, everyone will one day die. What happens after the last goodbye? Some say that's where it all ends. But is it? Being wrong about this will cost quite a bit. Oh, to touch the face of God. Thanks, McGee. Thinking of it makes me want to shout with glee. I'd rather be wrong, yet still follow the Holy Writ. If I'm wrong, I will have lost nothing. This I'll admit. Adhering to the scriptures, I will submit. They give life a plan I do not want to omit. To live for the lover of my soul I do commit. Oh, to touch the face of God. Thanks, McGee. Thinking of it makes me want to shout with glee. What a dream! The face of God! Such grace! One day I will see my Savior face to face. Christ exchanged his pure life for a multitude. He granted eternal life. This we may conclude. The lover of my soul died, so I can live. Is more needed to demonstrate God's love? Oh, to touch the face of God. Thanks, McGee. Thinking of it makes me want to shout with glee. Surely I will fly away, upward, one sweet day. I will have a home that outlasts and outshines the sun. Knowing this makes me want to run. Oh, what fun. Knowing the future helps me to face, to come what may. Oh, to touch the face of God. Thanks, McGee. Thinking of it makes me want to shout with glee. Life on this earth may be filled with spills and ills, bills, chills, maybe some thrills and a few frills. Is that all there is? Certainly hope not. I know it's not. There's a land where joys never end. Eternal life was bought. Oh, to touch the face of God.
You rhymed.
I did. I worked on that. Yeah.
But you didn't sing your part, your poem.
I'm sorry?
You didn't sing your poem.
No, this isn't. The theme that I have is for something totally different. And I don't know when that will come about, but I'm working on it.
When you should have sung it
With
with
your-
something.
With your reference to McGee, if people haven't read High Flight ahead of time, it won't make any sense.
That's why I made it a trilogy. So it would be
Yeah,
there.
so this one will never exist by itself.
I don't know.
Put it maybe she gets.
I can put a footnote.
There you go. Perfect.
There is a little contradiction here, though, when you say, being in the second stanza at the end of that, being wrong about this will cost quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
And then in the fourth stanza saying, if I'm wrong, I will have lost nothing, this I'll admit, which is really closer to the truth than the initial being wrong about this will cost quite a bit.
Well, that is a contention. Is it right or is it wrong? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm wrong and I have lived my life according to the Bible, I will have lost nothing. But if others are wrong about this, it will have cost them eternal life.
But,
How about the
No, I saved
Koran?
one for you.
but again, most Christian scriptures say that those who do not know Christ are still saved by, we're still saved by Christ.
I'm sorry?
This theologians say that even those people who do not acknowledge Christ are still saved by Christ, because Christ died for all, whether you follow him or not. So where is the,
Well, it's like I could give you a gift, but until you open that gift, have you really received it?
Well, how about the believers in the Koran instead of the Bible? Are they equally,
I am very thankful
do
that
they have a
God,
face? What
I-
color is the face of God
trying to answer
from
your
the
question.
Koran?
I'm trying to answer your question, and the answer is I'm glad that God is the one that is the judge and not I. And the heart is where it's at, so God knows, not I.
Okay.
A blue parakeet and a yellow canary fell madly in love and decided to marry. Some disapproved, seemed sorely to mind, saying you really should marry among your own kind. The lovebirds found that concept absurd, said, look at these feathers, each of us is a bird. When after the wedding the guests ate the rice, the bride and groom, to keep everything nice, and having convention and all that at stake, ran to a shower of pieces of cake. Before long, a comfortable little nest was made, and a clutch of eggs soon after was laid. In due time, a number of chicks in the nest sent the parents frantically doing their best to stuff enough food down the gaping throats, millet, thistle seed, barley, groats. With song from one parent, speech from the other, and the voice-blending quality of sister and brother, the kids formed a group that went singing in pubs, at weddings and parties, in night spots and clubs. They quickly were known throughout the nation, played on every radio station. If you're lucky, this group of such fame and renown may do a concert in your very own town.
all in the Pussycat went to see the beautiful pea green boat.
Right.
Books money and money back over the £5 note.
So that's where you get paranaries and canarykeets.
Canaries. Canaries.
So there's something legal.
History of the Paranaries.
Oh, very, very good.
Cute.
Very
Very creative.
This is
Yeah, I
wonderful.
think
Lots of fun to
truly,
do.
an
Couldn't you
audience
see
of
this as a
children would
children's
delight
book?
in this.
Yeah.
With
Wheel
illustrations.
pleasure,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
But-
Ruth
Are you
made a good
doing
point. You should, this
illustrations?
needs to go into a children's book with some pictures.
Well, people have said that about the one here with, and
Yeah.
I may, and I've got two different artists who would want to do the illustrations for it.
Yeah.
That would be
Have you
fun.
seen Stella Luna books?
Now, I've heard of them, but I haven't seen
With
them.
Stella Luna?
Which one?
She's Stella Luna.
The bat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was brought up by birds, and she did everything differently. You know, she wanted to stay up all night, and they got mad at her, and she wanted to hang upside down, and they told her she had to stand upright. Eventually, she gets reconnected with the bats. It's cute.
We're having a poet come to the Emeriti Association meeting, and she's a teacher of third grade, I guess it is, fifth grade at West Elementary, and her name is Susan Matters, and she has had great success introducing really quite complicated poetic terms to young kids, and I think her group would love this.
Well, when I was interviewing her, I gave her the pond one, and she said that she thought the kids would like it, particularly.